Viewer discretion is advised.
Bad girls, what you want, what you want, what you want to do when they come for you. Bad girls, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad girls, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Feminist Cops is filmed on location with the brave, strong women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
315 confirmed suspect is in 302, over.
Alright, so we got 2 warrants out for this guy. He's arrested and he's not coming out, so we're gonna have to extract him.
Correction, suspect is in 301. Over.
Bad girls, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
200 episodes.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't do that. I don't like it when people do the woos. You're not on a ride. This isn't Six Flags.
As soon as I did that, I regretted
It's
it.
really like when you're at the bar and someone's like, "Hey, we're doing shots," and woo! You're just an idiot. I don't like you. There's no velocity.
Don't like me either.
All right. Producing with me in video studio as always is Jared, who is not gay. Follow him on Twitter at NotGayJared. And me at SCrowder. Send us your comments, your thoughts, your photoshops. Whatever else. 200th episode. I'm sure there's some interesting things. I fulfill my legal obligations. Drawing conclusions. Are we good, Joe?
Yeah, good enough. Thanks.
S.G. Morgan Jr. is here. Hey, what's the line of the day, Gerald?
We've got a little bit of Nicholas Fouillot champagne from Courtney, a.k.a. the Dark Lord of the Northwest.
Oh, she doesn't drink, champagne. So I guess it probably sucks.
It does.
We have a great... I'm surprised. Courtney
It's the correct color, though. I know that.
Yes. But we just found out yesterday that Gerald was colorblind, and we had no idea because when we send stories for the show...
Don't you stigmatize me.
And we create a show map, we have color-coded, like a link is blue, we have, this is the headline from the article.
Christmas is rough,
and
green.
He has no idea. What do you think when you Burl Ives sings Silver and Gold? Does it just put you into an uncontrollable rage? Silver and gold. You son of a bitch, Snowman! Shut up!
I can't even see it.
Great guest today. We have Owen Benjamin. Got a little diddly for us, little number. We have Jim Norton, who I love, one of my favorite guests, one of my favorite comedians out there, and then, of course we have Clint Howard, who's insane. So that's good. A lot of fun with Clint Howard. Clint Howard he's everything that I will say this off air. Everything that you would expect him to be. Clint Howard.
We love him.
And
awesome.
we have a bunch of news to get to. By the way, quick mention, hey, John McCain, we're sorry to hear about what's going on with Senator John McCain. I know that's got to be rough for his family. And, I don't know, the thoughts and prayers thing, but sorry, we hope the guy recovers. I know it's pretty rough.
He's a
with
badass.
cancer.
Yes.
He is a badass. So, there you go, John McCain. Speaking of the complete opposite of a man who we respect in John McCain, Lena Dunham joins the cast of American Horror Story. This was just announced. Yeah, I know. It's like the Caitlyn Jenner thing.
Now it's horrifying.
Just read the headline.
Yes.
So, American Horror Stories, actually, it is a great example of TV has come up so much, the quality of it.
Yes.
It's just pretty disturbing. I don't really watch it. But the makeup, it's won all kinds of awards for makeup, for costume design. And she actually posted a picture to her Instagram of her allegedly long 4-hour transformation in makeup and wardrobe. It's uncanny.
They are brilliant.
Give
That'll get an award.
Give it to them right now.
That's like the firework at the beginning of the show that never gets off the ground.
It's true.
We tried. She's also quoted as saying that although I've never lived an American Horror Story, I wish I had. So that's one thing. Yeah. Abortion joke. Right
Naturally.
Hey, here you go. There's a new global plastic study. Enough plastic to literally bury Manhattan 2 times over. Researchers with this new global study have declared that over 9.1 billion tons of plastic have been made since 1950.
It sounds like a lot.
Yes. A lot of people are considering it a crisis. Others see a silver lining in the ability to literally bury Manhattan 2 times over. Better yet, bury it 1.5 times, then work your way to Brooklyn. All the fixies are going to be buried, and then we can move on to 16-gear bicycles.
Yes.
There we go.
So that's correct. 9.1 billion tons of plastic made since 1950.
Wow.
That's an
a lot.
unbelievable amount.
Yes.
Research estimate that 9% has gone toward water bottles, 2% to medical technology, and the remaining 89% into Nicki Minaj. So that's what their obvious joke is obvious.
Ouch.
But like you were saying,
A lot of plastic.
plastic going into bottling.
Yeah.
So that
35% of the increase, I think, is in like water bottles and places that didn't have
Right.
water now, have water jerks. So
yeah, I know.
can
It seems
survive.
like that should be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go over to Zambia and you're like, oh, finally. Like, nah, can you use the Nalgene? Son of a bitch. No, we
Make sure
can't
you
use
recycle.
Nalgene because every time we fill up the Nalgene in the river, we get AIDS.
It's full of estrogen. Can't do that.
We can't do
Can't
that.
do that.
It's not even BPA free. I read a consumer
I put it in my
report.
make-believe microwave. Your cancer.
Why does he sound Indian?
I don't know. I can't do accents. It's a nightmare.
You're worse than I am.
Hey, O.J. Simpson is soon to be a free man.
Oh, speaking
there
of
we go.
nightmares.
This was just announced that it was trending everywhere. I will say this. The guy did 9 years. He was obviously doing the time for a crime unrelated to killing 2 people. So as much as we don't like it, the justice system does have to play itself out.
Do its thing.
And his former correction officer, he actually described OJ's prison life as a cruise with barbed wire. That's how he described it. So they obviously weren't big fans of the treatment there. And OJ agreed, saying that he loved the prison's great gym, 3 square meals a day, free cable, and of course, the stabbing room was one of his favorites. He's a big
Beneficial,
fan of the stabbing room, which almost seems as though a prison is encouraging poor behavior.
It almost seems that way. Like you think, like
Shouldn't fund
maybe
that.
they could reform them a little better.
It seems irresponsible
It does.
to put a stabbing room with O.J. Simpson. So John Boyega, we talked about this on yesterday's show for Mug Club members. John Boyega complained that there weren't enough black people on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So
The Civil Rights Frontier.
Game of Thrones creators just today announced their next show, Confederate, set in a world where slavery still actually exists.
Can't write this
Hey, all right.
So there you go.
Crazy.
You weren't represented enough? Now you're all slaves.
Jeez.
You know that's not what I meant, said John Boyega on Twitter.
I should have been more specific.
And this, of course, it's trending everywhere. It set the internet
Oh my
ablaze
gosh.
for a multitude of different reasons. Some people think this is great because it's an opportunity for black people in Hollywood. Some people think, why do they always have to play slaves? I understand. And DeRay is actually just complaining, already claiming cultural appropriation, which I can actually see.
Oh, in hindsight,
It almost seems shameless.
it almost does. Almost seems like they meant to.
Ouch.
There's no ouch there, Gerald.
Ouch.
All right. I saw Planet of the Apes, by the way. The new Planet
did?
of the Apes. Yeah, and when I saw the vest, I couldn't stop laughing in the theater. People were wondering why I was laughing hysterically. DeRay. He just.
I'm glad you're explaining this joke because when you made that transition, that was not the smoothest segue
are you
into
talking
Planet.
Oh, Planet. Yeah.
That was a-
For people who don't know,
What?
DeRay was complaining that they appropriated his blue vest. And so now, when you're saying they appropriated my blue vest, I'm a Black Lives Matter activist, and this is my vest, and you see it on an ape. I about peed myself laughing in the theater. And it was at a moment, too, we're supposed to be really touching, with the monkey with the Winchester. And I was just like, ah!
You should have to make-
You ruined it for everybody in the theater.
Yeah, you should wait for Michael Richards to point something like that out.
It was like Robert De Niro in Cape Fear. Ah! Ah! It was that funny. Okay. So, in the news, we just talked about this yesterday. Chris Hemsworth came out and said that it is time for a female James Bond. That's the slogan for 2016 and 2017, it seems now. It's just, why do we need to... It's time. Why does Hillary Clinton need to be... it's time for a female president. Why does someone who just lops off their penis, why do they get to... it's time. It's time. Why do we need an iconic male character to... It's time for a female James Bond. So here to take that on is Louder with Crowder favorite and comedian. I think we have him on the line via Skype. Is Owen Benjamin. Owen!
Hello, Stephen and the gang. I wrote a song today about our little buddy, Chris Hemsworth, who said it's about time that there's a female James Bond. Well, it's about time little Chris Hemsworth or Hemmingsworth really thought through what a female James Bond would be like. You can have a female action star, but you can't be female James Bond. Maybe you can. I'm so open-minded, I wrote a song about it. It's about female James Bond.
It's beautiful.
Instead of 007, she'd be 007 cents on the dollar. Her passport would have a Snapchat filter, and she'd always keep changing her mind about dinner. Q would be a queenie gay guy. Instead of making gadgets, they'd complain about their frenemies. She can't keep a secret. She's got like 9 blogs that fortunately nobody reads. She's Bond, Jane Bond, but she's open to hyphenation. She's Bond, Jane Bond, and always says she needs a vacation. She's Bond, Jane Bond, can't drive when she's in Saudi. She's Bond, Jane Bond, she's pretty hot, but insecure about her body. She orders a martini shaken, not stirred, but blacks out cause she forgot to eat dinner. At 5'1", 100 pounds, not strong or fast and hates sports, cause she doesn't get why there has to be a winner. Why does there have to be a winner? She's Bond, Jane Bond, but she's open to hyphenation. She's Bond, Jane Bond, and always in need of a vacation. She's Bond, Jane Bond, can't drive when she's sent to Saudi. She's Bond, James Bond, and she shouldn't exist ever. 'Cause that's not a movie anybody wants to see.
Okay. Thank you, Owen Benjamin.
Thank you.
It's amazing how smart you have to be to create something that stupid.
Yes.
He's just a brilliantly classically trained pianist. I remember he was sitting there with what's his name, Pete Holmes, who was insulting him for being kind of silly with his comedy.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a real artist, and Owen Benjamin's like, well, hold on, this is. Have you heard? And he starts playing like a Beethoven symphony. Like you tell jokes about your small penis. So, thank you, Owen Benjamin. By the way, you can watch more of his stuff on YouTube at Owen Benjamin Comedy, and see his tour dates, hugepianist.com.
Thank you for the enunciation.
All right, last story before we have to get to our guests. This was posted on Facebook by some people in Essex, I think in tandem with police officers, after a massive knife turn-in program, and they said, they tagged this, only cowards carry. Which is one of, I don't know about you, I've heard this a lot. Have you heard this? We're like, oh yeah, you have to conceal carry just because you're insecure. This is one of the delusions of the left. This is a great example, I truly do feel, as to how delusional they are. It's, if you were really tough, then you wouldn't need to carry a gun or a knife, pussy.
It's so stupid.
It's so stupid because it's someone who clearly has never been in an altercation.
Yeah.
It's someone who's never been in a physical confrontation in their life. This is why this matters. It's the same reason where they like, well, Charlize Theron could kick your ass because I saw her doing the stunts. No, she couldn't.
No.
She couldn't. You're not living in the real world. Just like if you think someone is a coward because if you are the toughest, biggest, baddest dude on the block, okay, and it is an anemic AIDS victim, and you're in a fight and he either has a gun or a knife, you have no chance. Doesn't matter how brave you are.
I am no coward. No one can defeat me, for I am strong and fast.
By the way, we tried to hire an actual strong man. No one would do the show. So glycerin will do. I apologize. Again, this is your only knife. What if someone else is carrying a knife?
Yeah.
What if someone else has a gun? Which, by the way, criminals usually do.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then you should just you handle hand to hand, pussy. I don't understand.
Most criminals are in for a fair fight.
And
Yeah,
one thing,
they like
too,
to even the odds.
study after study, a lot of people don't realize, study after study has shown that even trained police officers have huge problems with knife attacks. It's pretty much impossible to defend against a knife attack.
You almost that's something you learn about commonly in concealed carry courses about the 21-foot rule and how fast someone with a knife can just mess you up.
Right,
Yeah.
and I couldn't find this study. We didn't have enough time today, but there was one with a chalk knife. And someone out there, if you could send it to me, I had a friend who was in the police force, who trained actually police officers, and he talked about how they took, I think, 100 police officers, they had a chalk knife, and they didn't take out the knife until they were stabbing somebody, which is what usually happens in altercations. Only 80 of them only 80 of them were stabbed and dead before they realized.
Wow.
20 of them realized a knife was being pulled, and only one was able to actually do anything and get away. So this idea of disarmed, you're going to Stevenson, it doesn't work. Again, you're not living in reality. And this is the issue with today's modern left. They don't deal in reality. And by the way, saying only cowards carry, the left doesn't understand this is unbelievably discriminatory toward women.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Because they stand to gain the most amongst everyone in carrying. Let's bring up those stats. As a matter of fact, their only chance at not being raped or assaulted is carrying ideally. Look at that. With a gun, their percent of completed, meaning the assault completed against them, 0.9%. With a knife, 0.0%. Using weaponless physical force, 30%. Jeez. That's
Some call it
30 times?
Statistically significant, I think is the word.
Significant?
It's
relevant. Mm-hmm.
And that's also what I've talked about, how knife crime is actually often worse than gun crime. Because right there you go, well, hold on, why was it only 0.9% with a gun, 0.0% with a knife? And I've talked about this with muggings. Actually, people tend to get hurt more with muggings that involve a knife. And that's because someone aims a gun at you, you're not screwing around. All right, fine. They're either going to shoot you or take your stuff, so you're making up your mind. If someone mugs you with a knife, they often you get into a scuffle, and someone gets cut regardless.
Yeah.
So this is important, too. And this is important. All of this, you look at these stats, they stand the most to gain. A 30% increased chance of getting, well, not 30%.
300 times more.
No, 3,000 times more.
Yeah, it's 0.09.
From 0% to 30%.
I was told there'd be
I don't
no
know.
math.
I wasn't told about the math, but we were just like, take the 3 and add it. No. It's a huge number. Because contrary to the virtue signaling on Facebook and the county of Essex, rapes in Essex have actually gone up significantly, over 100% in the last years. Jeez. And violent crime in England and Wales has gone up 19%. Wow. So rape is going up. Violent crime is going up. And this is why this is important. Same thing, it's time for a female James Bond. And people say, well, listen, no one really cares about the fact that it's a female James Bond. It's just this idea now that it's time. This arbitrary, it's time, only cowards carry. Well, why are you saying that? Because weapons are bad. Therefore, if you carry one, you're bad, you're a weapon. Well, that's not the reality that we live in. So rather than virtue signal the only cowards carry, we know statistically, if the left really wanted to help women, they wanted to fight rape culture, the best thing they could do is give women guns and training.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
It would save a lot of lives.
It would save a lot of lives. Particularly, it would make them safer. It would make police lives easier. How many times do you hear police talking about it? It's like it's a scene.
Guys wouldn't screw around as much.
And This is kind of where we talked about this. It's the point of stating a falsehood just because it goes along with your narrative. Like yesterday, this story we covered, it just said, Caitlyn Jenner stuns in this dress. And then it was a picture of Caitlyn Jenner looking like a necklace bearded lady walking out. And you're going, hold on a second. That's not, you wrote words, but that's not those words. But they just say it now.
What don't we like? Let's just say some words to combat all the things we don't like and wish were not true that are true.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see the stack of those knives? What the hell's going on in Essex? It's like
well, they don't have guns, and so they use knives.
Well, that's true.
By the way, gun crime has gone up too. So it's not like we'll take the better, we'll take the lesser of two evils. Nah, you get both. So the virtue signaling and the false reality that the left pushes. it's annoying when it's Caitlyn Jenner stuns or Caitlyn Jenner's a woman. It annoys us. It's annoying when it's Charlize Theron at 5'8", 120 pounds can kick any guy's ass because she took some stunt coordination classes. It's annoying. But when it comes to creating an alternate reality and proactively lying about it to protect a narrative, and it involves women being able to protect themselves, it's no longer annoying. It's actually fatal. And we've seen that happen in the real world. So I would rather read some headlines that say, criminal thwarted and stabbed or shot by a woman and left an alleyway than woman raped. And there's a several 1,000% greater chance that the latter would be the case if the left had their way. Hope you enjoy it, Essex. We'll be back with Jim Norton.
Colton, are you watching that Louder with Crowder again?
Is it 9 p.m. Eastern on a weekday? Then of course I'm watching Louder with Crowder, Josephine. I'm a damn Mo Club member. Why can't you get that?
If you love them so much, why didn't you just pay full price?
I did pay full price at $69 annually for daily content as a student, Josephine.
You're not even a student.
Damn it, woman, I've been a student my whole damn life. I got my GED. I studied culinary arts at Bridgetown.
You mean those cooking classes at the Y?
F*** you! I wasn't even finished. I also am a green belt in Tenpo Karate, which is an art, something you don't know shit about, and I'm a fucking Phoenix.
Colton, you didn't even go to University of Phoenix.
I signed up for the mailing list, didn't I?
But then you unsubscribed.
Damn it, Josephine, you know I hate spam! That was elevating because we were trying to elevate the show now after this first segment. We're looking to have our next guest on. Funny enough, we had him on the first time. We didn't know, I guess, what the crossover was with people who watched the show. And it was, oh my gosh, I love Jim.
Absolutely.
But I realized a lot of young people who watched didn't realize that Jim used to be heavier. And we talked about that this week on the show. He's one of the few comedians who shed the weight. And he's, for such a long amount of time, an entire audience has been introduced to him. They have no idea. Anyway, horrible introduction. But his special is Mouthful of Shame on Netflix. And of course, he hosts his show with Sam Roberts on Sirius XM. Is it called the Jim and Sam Show? Jim Norton and Sam Roberts?
Jim Norton and Sam Roberts, because Jim and Sam just sounded too Zoo Crewish. Yes. But tune into Jim and Sam. Ha! So I think Jim Norton and Sam Roberts at least sounds like adults.
Yeah, there's no toilet flushing sounds. And call in and win the contest. Hold a car. See how long you can hold your bladder. We had that in Montreal, a morning show, and someone died because they would put them in water and see how long they could hold their pee, and someone just was in the water and then just fell over and died.
It's called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. They were doing it, I think that was in the States, though. I want to say that was on the West Coast, like Portland or Seattle or something. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But it was a contest they were running for whatever the Wii game controller is.
Oh, that's it.
Hold Your Wee for a Wee. And that changed forever because now you can't do any eating or drinking contests at all because of that one lawsuit.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Pac-Man frogs. I used to work with Pac-Man frogs. You put them in a bath of water, they'll just poison themselves.
Really?
Yeah, no joke. Also, they eat their friends.
Yeah, well, it was still the worst job ever. Everyone can tweet us and send if they had a worse job than that. That's and what a way to go. Yeah. That has got to be unbelievably painful. Okay, Jim, we covered this on the website this week. I don't know how much feedback you've gotten from it, but it was one of our most popular stories of the week, probably because people just loved how quickly and succinctly you put a stop to Reebok's bullcrap. So we'll put this up. They put up their tweet saying, in case you're wondering when it's okay to basically tell a woman she's beautiful, and pretty much the answer for those who are listening, it's no. It's never appropriate. And then you responded with this, which I thought was perfect. Thank you, Reebok, for your virtuous message and when it's appropriate to and it's just retone with a woman's ass. Of course, the implication is that she's beautiful. First off, did you have that at the ready? Were you like, please, Reebok, make this mistake? Or did you just retrieve it from memory?
Whenever a company does something like that, it just annoys me. It's like, don't moralize, you dopes, because I know that you've probably done something that's exactly the opposite of what you're trying to scold Trump for doing. Right. So whenever a company moralizes, it's pretty easy to catch them being full of shit. It's not hard.
Well, especially with Reebok, I mean, when you think about it, their entire athletic product line is designed to making women feel beautiful or to perform or to train in their clothing in order to become beautiful. They are effectively selling the business of beauty. At what point do you think they thought this was a good idea, and did they respond to you at all?
They didn't respond to me, no. I think that, again, it's like an echo chamber. People live in and they hear only people talking the way they kind of feel. So I think they were probably shocked that they got any bad blowback at all from it. But like, it wasn't even about the politics or what the president said. If they had named a few other places where it's okay to compliment somebody, I would have said, okay, that's just how they feel. They thought it was inappropriate for a public figure.
Right.
But the fact that they couldn't think of any other time to do it except for one, it's like, shut up. Stop it. Now you those S's and for your sneakers, and don't act like that's, oh, we're trying to sell the sneakers to the women so we show them how great it will make their ass. Shut up. We know what we're doing.
Well, even then, they're hoping that other women will say, hey, your ass looks beautiful. How'd you do it? These sneakers.
Right.
At some point, it comes back. It's the circle of ass. This was, for those, I should have prefaced this. It was after the president made some comment about someone being beautiful. Do you ever tell women they're beautiful? I was just saying this with you. I don't know a good way to ever tell a woman they look good because they've lost weight. That's one thing I'm always uncomfortable with because you're trying to compliment them, but you have to insult their previous self. How do you handle it? You just say, you're beautiful, or do you just mount them?
I'll usually say that you look great. I don't mind telling someone they lost weight, because even though it is like saying, like, wow, no longer a pig. It's still a compliment, though. And when people compliment you on losing weight, you know that you probably needed to lose it. Right. So you don't feel insulted. You're like, oh, they're right. I'm so happy I did this. I'll just say, hey, you look great. And the fact that people got pissed off at Trump for that, it's like, okay, maybe it's weird for the president to say that, but the intention wasn't to be lecherous. Like, he really was just trying to compliment somebody. And if you compliment somebody in a way that is deemed clumsy or not perfect, you're still trying to compliment them, and people shouldn't act like you were sitting there trying to, dump something into their drink to get them to pass out.
Yes, exactly. It's not exactly the Bill Cosby offense saying, hey, you look good. And it's entirely dependent on the attractiveness of the male. Let's be honest. If the guy is cute, says, we were actually going to do a hidden camera on this, but the guy dropped out, you know who, not gay Jared, big fat pig of a guy who agreed to be the foil, then dropped out. We wanted to have a good-looking guy and then an ugly guy, just tell women, hey, you're beautiful, see how they react. I can say in my personal life that, particularly as a young teenager full of pimples, doesn't go so well. The reaction is different.
And it also depends on the person saying it, how the people hearing it feel about that person.
Right.
Like, if people listening like that person, then they'll see it for what it is. Like, wow, that was kind of a nice compliment. Like Obama was talking about some woman who's an attorney general or whatever she was. And I didn't think there was anything wrong with him going like, yeah, she's the best looking whatever attorney general or, whatever her position was. And that was fine. But if a guy they don't like politically says it, he's a criminal. It's arbitrary, so I don't buy it.
I was actually going to ask you next if there were times where Obama complimented a woman's looks, and I've got to imagine that's the case.
It's got to be at some point.
I don't remember the example, but that's if Obama did do it. And again, he didn't mean anything by it. He was just joking around and being friendly. He wasn't trying to be a creep, so it wasn't a big deal when he did it. Right. But people just take it when they don't like the guy and they make a big deal about it. It's stupid.
I had a guy do that at dinner once when he was meeting my wife at some point. It was my wife's friend's husband. And I said, like, oh, here's my beautiful bride. You know that, whatever, my better half. That always, the joke is like, I'm ugly, she's attractive. It's as old as time, it's an icebreaker. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, because I couldn't possibly talk about her brains. Or something like that, about her intro. Like, he said that, and I was like, you dick. First off, you're not only are you self-important, and nobody likes you immediately in this social gathering,
right.
But you just, like, my wife is not happy that you said that. Because for my wife, it is a compliment. I feel like, oh, yeah, she looks great. And the guy actually went out of his way to do this, and I've
had it the other way, too, where the guy, you said, hey, oh, there's your better half, and he was like, well, what do you say about me?
I lost a friend over that. Literally one of my best friends.
That guy who said that to you is a scumbag, and here's what he is. He's a white knight, and he's trying to white knight your wife from a compliment you're giving her. And it's like, shut, because you understand the social context. When people just say stuff like that, like, oh, here's my beautiful wife. Hey, whoa, she's got brains too, Buster. We know that, dope.
Yeah.
We know.
I'm not enough of a moron that I'd marry someone who I feel like is an idiot. I have to go home to every night. There's some guys who feel that way. I lost a friend over that too. On the flip side, I won't use his name either because hopefully it can be repaired in time. But it was my dad who actually made the comment. Who just said, "Hey, wow, she's gorgeous. What's she doing with you?" Corny old dad joke. And I got a letter written out, like an email, as to we just feel you don't respect a relationship, saying that, she's out of my league.
If he wrote you a whole letter, he's clearly a trainee in hiding.
I mean, it's just what low self-confidence must you have to be offended by that?
Where did you meet these people at Berkeley?
No, it was at Centennial Regional High School in Montreal, which is just as bad because there we have far, far left liberals and then far left liberal separatists. Like, there isn't even a backlash. It's just they're backlashing against, well, hold on a second. Now we have taxpayer-funded abortion at will. What else do we campaign for? I don't know. Sex changes? No, let's put someone in jail for not marrying two homos? What can we do? We need to go further.
When things are good, it is weird what we focus on. When life is pretty good, and there's always things that need to be fixed, but when there are social changes, people can't fight as hard for social changes if they're happening, so then they have to start nitpicking the language because special interest group they always need a function. They always need to exist, otherwise they'll go away.
Right.
Yeah, it's like Owen Benjamin says, we're so bored with 2017 we've resorted to cutting off our own dicks.
Yeah, and then examining the social consequences.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of which, I don't want to put you in the spot. I did ask Jim before on air because I know comedians, you never want to ever pit them against one another. Obviously, Trevor Noah is a comedian, but we've had this conversation before.
In name only, or where are we going with here?
Stop it, not gay, Jared. We need to let Jim have a fair shake at this. This was him on The View, and I've talked about this, and you and I have mostly agreed, but had some slight disagreements. And I've said, I think your generation, a little bit like you and Nick DiPaolo, have somewhat of a blind spot, and I mean this in a complimentary way, because even the people with whom you disagreed with politically in your generation, you never wanted to silence each other. It was, okay, I think that guy's a dick. That couldn't be less of the case with this new crop of comedians 25 and under. They are trying to close the door behind them. And this is a clip, Naki Jerry, make sure Jim can see this, from The View, Trevor Noah, then I want to get your thoughts.
Things the comedians said back in the day were not even censored at all. I mean, we got away with stuff in those days that we could never get away with now.
You know what, to be honest with you, I think it's good.
Why?
I genuinely think it's good. I won't lie, as a comedian, I look back and I go, there's things I said that I shouldn't have been saying. Like, we're progressing, we're moving forward. There's things that we said about women that we shouldn't have been saying.
Well,
There's things that we were saying. No, I think there were things that we shouldn't have been saying. And if you look at the progress, if you look at what you're trying to do as a comedian, essentially what I know I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to think progressively.
Okay, I can't take anymore. Jim, your thoughts. I don't want to taint them.
Well, as a comic, if he says there's things I shouldn't have been saying, that's fine. Like, you look back, I look back on a couple of things I've said, and I'm like, ugh.
Sure.
That was too harsh. But when it comes to allowing people to say stuff, there can be, especially because Trevor comes from an oppressive place. Like, he understands what it's like to live in a place where your parents couldn't even walk on the same side of the street.
Right.
So I don't think that he should be, and I don't even know if he is advocating for guys to get in trouble for it or just going socially we shouldn't.
He's not talking about the government.
He's not talking about the government, but he is talking about how people should, how boycott. He's supporting boycotts and basically people getting out, the outrage machine. He does support that.
I like Trevor a lot, but I have to disagree with that because my job as a comedian, like his job may be to be progressive. Mine is not to forward a political agenda.
Right.
Mine is to be funny and to be honest. Sometimes that does have a political agenda, but it's not, I'll bash the Republicans or I'll bash the Democrats. Like, for me, my job as a comedian is to be honest and funny. But again, he may see his job differently. I just don't see my job as needing to be progressive or conservative. It's just got to be funny and original.
But that is kind of crazy to me, where his baseline is just assumed. If you look at what we're supposed to do as comedians, we're supposed to be progressive. Like, that's the job definition. He said it as though no one around his social circle goes, wait, what? Hold on, Trevor. You might not want to go out in public with that one. He assumes that's the baseline, not even to push a political message or to affect change, but to be progressive is my job. Like, that's on his resume. That's concerning to me.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I don't need to be progressive. And also, part of being progressive doesn't mean taking away other people's voices or boycotting people because they have a voice that you think sucks.
Right.
And there's a lot of people I think suck as people, but they're allowed to say whatever they want. And I never want a comic to get in trouble. I never want anyone to get in trouble for saying things. I'm a big boy, and if I don't like what you said, I'll just go, hey, f*** you, I don't like what you said. Like, it's that simple.
And do you make the De Niro face when you say it? Hey, fuck you! I don't like what you said.
I don't like it.
I don't. It just seems like it's your natural set point when you use the phrase. Have you felt it changed though? Like in recent years, obviously, not only have you been doing stand-up comedy, but then you were on Fox, with Red Eye, and then that's not there anymore. But then you've been doing you've been at the front of XM radio and podcasting. Have you seen the wave of the backlash kind of going away? People throwing off political correctness, whereas some people. I would say, Trevor, I know you like Trevor, but I would say are trying to slam that door behind them, and they're taking part in the witch hunt. That's what's crazy to me. There are a lot of comedians taking part in the witch hunt now.
And they never think they are. It's almost like people's motives are good. They want to create a place that they think, hey, this is a safe place for people. I think people who are politically correct, like I've tried to go, why do they think this way? Because they're not all shitty people. Some of them really believe it, or a lot of them. So what is their motive? I think a lot of them really feel like, hey, this is the best way to do it. And I just don't think it is, because it's like no matter how unoffensive you think you're being, hey, if you're for gay marriage, you're a very politically correct person. But that opinion, just in itself, offends a lot of people in the country. So now do you not want to be able to say you're for gay marriage because that's deemed offensive by a large segment of the pop? It's a no-win game. So you just got to go, look, everybody can say what they want to say and trust the rest of us to just know what we feel is right and wrong. And I totally forgot what your question is.
No, that's fine. It totally worked. It was actually it was very philosophical. Which was, what were you going to say now?
I think part of Trevor's problem is he's so out of touch. He thinks, because he mentions his example is like, oh, to not do a fat joke is actually, in his mind, to be edgy. That's pushing the edge to step outside the sphere of fat jokes. He doesn't realize, actually, what would be edgy is to be anti-political correctness, which, toss a Muslim joke in your thing over. That would be edgy. If he wants to be really actually edgy, his definition of what is comedically edgy just baffles me when you watch the clip.
That's one thing that I do, and I'll expand on that. And Jim, you can... This is kind of your milieu, right? You did the nasty show. We talked about that at Just for Laughs. They would love it. It's the nasty show because it's dirty stuff. But you've always been a comic who's funny, period. You do blue material, but it's not a crutch for you. And I say that genuinely because I do, as someone who works pretty clean, there are some people where you take it away, they have no act. That's not the case with you. But I really do think that, like what Trevor Noah is talking about, and you see this with a lot of comedians, what sometimes is blue or they create this edgy act is really carefully crafted to seem edgy and offensive, and you go through it, you go, well, hold on a second. Nothing they said was unsafe at all. They just used some naughty words, but nothing was really offensive as a premise. Do you feel like you see that sometimes? Sometimes it's disingenuous?
Yeah, like a fake maverick kind of creating dragons out of paper and then slaying them like he's some fucking truth teller. Yeah.
Right.
And it's nonsense. It all depends, like what is considered edgy changes. Like 50 years ago, like the Catholic Church and religion, they ruined Lenny Bruce because he made fun of the church and religion. They killed him for it. Career-wise, they killed him. He got arrested. That's no longer dangerous. You can now make fun of the church. You can do like certain pedophile priest jokes, it's okay. But now Islam is a sacred cow, or homosexuality or trans issues. And in 10 years, that won't be the sacred cow. 20 years, that won't be the sacred cow. It'll be a new thing. We don't like people making fun of blondes who also have blonde eyebrows. Whatever the fucking thing is, whatever group feels like they've been oppressed, and maybe even justifiably so, that will be the group. And this whole notion of punching up and punching down, can the people fucking stop it? When you're doing comedy, you're throwing punches. It's circular. There's no up and down. It's a circular thing. Some people are in front of you, some are behind you, some are to the side of you, and you're just trying to hit anything that you think is funny.
Well, I think it's an unholy marrying of, we've talked about this. My friend Bill Whittle has talked about this. The left inherently supports the underdog, even if the underdog is morally reprehensible. So it's like, okay, we have to support gays right now because gay marriage are the underdog. Got it. Okay, hold on. But now we have to support Islam because Islam, okay, got it. Well, now we have to support this Muslim who wants to hang gay people because it's an oppression Olympics, or well, now we have to say there need to be more black people in Game of Thrones because there's not enough. And they inherently have to support the underdog to the point where in comedy, that means that you can no longer make fun of whoever they see as the underdog, whoever they see as the oppressed class of the day, and that really limits it. And the problem that I have with it is not that someone has an opinion like that, but when they want to establish it as rules for entertainment that we've never agreed to.
Yes, and that's a good point. And it's also typically well-meaning white people who do it. Like if you're a white guy and you're talking about black people and you're saying something about black people that they don't think white people know, they love it. Black people aren't made of fucking glass or people.
Well, they were an unbreakable, literally.
Were they?
Yeah, that was Samuel Jackson. He was Mr. Glass. It was the worst villain ever. He had no superpowers. He just broke like glass. And I was like, oh, so he's like hyper intelligent. And they're like, no. He's just a glass man. Sorry, continue.
I did, it must have some weird symbolism. I didn't see the movie, but I'm sure I'd get it if I did. But it's funny. I did a trans joke about Caitlyn Jenner. And, I got, it wasn't even a nasty joke, but I got all these trans people saying, you're transphobic. And I'm like, wow, your fucking Google must be broken. And then one trans comic said it really well. She used that example. She said, why are people coming to our aid? We're not made out of glass. We're not going to break if somebody makes a joke. Her name is Jay McBride. She's a comedian from upstate. And that was a really great way to put it. It's like people think that like by making a joke that all of a sudden you're attacking and your intent is vicious. And it's like, no, sometimes you just make an observation about somebody or a joke about the person. It doesn't mean that you're oppressing them and shaking them and screaming, get out of America. People have no fucking balance and their annoyance.
You did the De Niro face again. It's like when you get mad, it goes to.
But I think that's everybody. Maybe De Niro stole it from all of humanity.
Yes, he stole it. Yeah, he realized I don't have to do these yo-yo diets and this method acting. I'll just do this. We just had Owen Benjamin on. I don't know if you've ever worked with Owen at all. More of a Los Angeles comedian, but he's an amazing comedian, did a lot of work with Adam Sandler, the Happy Madison crew, but was kind of seen as that sort of quintessential LA comic, goofy. He's a master pianist. Like he's been playing classical piano for a long time. So, but now if you watch him, he is more conservative. We have him on the show a lot. Now, he would not be considered edgy in the sense that he's never been a super offensive comedian. But now he's experienced it. He's experienced people walking out because he's made a Caitlyn Jenner joke, or walking out because he's talking about, safe spaces or college campuses, and it's turned him. And I wonder if a lot of people like Trevor Noah, or to some other extent, some other comedians who are left, they've never actually fought. It's kind of like, you've talked about jiu-jitsu or MMA. Everyone has their theories. I've got this tiger claw, and I know how the world works, how combat works, and then all of a sudden they get hit once. Like, I really don't know what this world is like. I don't think until you step out and actually take that risk and talk about the things people like Trevor Noah don't want you to talk about, that they can know. And do you think it's a symptom of them being so insulated? Because do you think anyone at Trevor Noah's set says, hey, hold on a second, you're wrong about this? You think that ever happens?
I probably not on any set, or to John Oliver or to Jon Stewart or any other one doing a set. It's usually the crew is going to nod at you. But Trevor, again, I say he comes from a unique place. He comes from a place of really being, legitimately. He saw the stuff that we read about from the 50s, the 40s. Right. He lived a lot of that. So if he comes over and he has a bias, even if I don't agree with him, I defended him when he got in trouble for those Jewish jokes. I was like, well, the guy's a comedian, just tweeting jokes, whether or not they were stupid or inappropriate, okay. But there were people that wanted to yank his job from the deal. And I'm like, he's, first of all, just good for Comedy Central for sticking with him. Yeah. But again, this guy comes from this place where he is seen really being treated horribly, and then he makes this joke, and a bunch of fucking guilty white people in our country are going to go, oh, shame on you, little man. Yeah. Just silly. And it's like, I like Trevor, and I don't think that he should be rooting for people to get boycotted. Right. Because, again, what offends people now is very arbitrary, and it changes.
Well, there you go. So we'll give Trevor Noah a pass on that. Rich, white, liberal America. What's your excuse? We have to go. Jim Norton, Mouthful of Shame on Netflix. Watch it. The Jim Norton and Sam Roberts on XM. It's also available as a podcast, right?
Yes, and we're on Channel 103 across the board on Sirius XM every day.
On Channel 103. Thank you so much, Jim. We'll have you back on too. We have, Clint Howard. Is he on the line?
Oh, he's here.
Don't call it a tumbler. It's an actual mug and hand-etched, girthy campfire mug. It actually fits just as much as most tumblers. A lot of people don't realize. And porcelain is actually still a great insulator.
It's a great insulator. It's
really
old-fashioned.
It's old-fashioned.
But it's going to be around for a while. Accept it.
You know who you are, who we're talking to. LouderWithCrowder.com/Mug Club. Thank you guys so much. You know what? To kind of give you some context, we talked about how we're being threatened with a lawsuit by a famous estate for some videos that we've done, and they're not really happy about it. We're going to fight it. We can't discuss exactly what it is right now. We'll have Bill Richmond on soon, but guess what? That's what Mug Club supports. Mug Club, not only we went out and we met with YouTube, and we haven't had a lot of answers. We've been playing nice, but until we get some of the issues resolved, we found out 15 out of 619 videos on our YouTube channel are in restricted mode. without Mug Club, we're not able to fight back because they strip you of your revenue. Facebook, YouTube, they strip you of your revenue. They strip you of your audience. They make it really hard for you to subscribe. And when you join for $99 annually, $69 if you're a student, veteran, active military, it allows us to keep a direct line of communication with you. And no matter what these social media ghettos do, we can keep everyone here employed. Jared, Edward, Courtney, Casey, Aaron the intern, Matt, Brodigan. There's so many people. Thank you to everyone. It's about a dozen people now who are employed because you've joined Mug Club. They make good incomes. They don't even need to sit in a corner fighting for 15 working for Soros because we actually pay them significantly more than that. And of course, when you join, you get the full daily show. You can try it for 7 days free, by the way, if you don't like it. 7 days free, try it. You get Morning Grinders and the rest of the CRTV lineup. And we're putting out more free content than ever because we want to be the thorn in Facebook and YouTube's side. We want to invite the people who threaten to sue us because we've done a video that they've declared offensive and a violation of their trademark, which it isn't. We'll talk about that next week. We want to invite them to court and thank them for the gift of fighting with free speech, but we can't do it unless you join louderwithcreditor.com/mugclub. So I leave the choice to you.
No, not you. Oh, Lord, no, I'm talking about that snazzy t-shirt. Looks like someone's been dropping some coin at louderwithcrowdershop.com. Now, come near, let the world see, don't be shy. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, now, someone's trying to be a sneaky fellow. Let's go, wear that bad boy loud and proud. Nothing to be ashamed of here. Say, what's the big idea? Stop kidding around and show everybody your swag. Don't make me come down there. Well, now your t-shirt just says socialism, which is far more embarrassing. There we go. See, nothing to be afraid of. Available exclusively at louderwithcrowdershop.com. Mug clubbers are almost never beaten up for wearing a long-sleeve socialism is for fags t-shirt. Unless, of course, you're sickly looking and lacking self-confidence. And that's why we now sell long-sleeve versions. Perfect for those cool summer nights and covering up a lifetime of gym avoidance and poor decisions. Get yours now at louderwithcrowdershop.com. That's louderwithcrowdershop.com. Because anywhere else would be pure faggotry.
All right, glad to have our next guest because you never know what will happen. One of the most, oh, look, there we go. Look, he got his Mug Club. Look at that. Hopefully it enhances.
It was COD. I don't know. I doesn't quite get it.
Okay, so before you came on, Clint Howard, by the way, people who don't know, Clint Howard, legendary film actor, and you look like you're about to go into a boxing ring. We were just talking about this during the break. What is this? You show up like a pimp.
This is sort of special. Actually, I'm scurrying around today, and if I told you, I'd have to kill you. So
okay.
But I'm scurrying around today, and I'm trying to mix in a sauna. Oh, you're doing a plug for yourself too. I like it.
Well, I just actually drink from the mug because it's just so girthy and hand etched. But continue.
No. So anyway, I'm going to go to the sauna, and on special occasions, I break out this wonderful swag gift that Jim Carrey got all the cast and crew members for being in The Grinch. Back in the heyday of the big movies, I got some great swag. Yeah. Russell Crowe dug deep and got a really nice leather jacket. And this is Jim Carrey. His sense of humor, he got us all a robe. I don't know. I don't know whether you can see this or not.
Oh, I can see that. Is it now? Is that terry cloth or is it a fleece?
No, it's the real deal. It's really nice. This is before they quit giving people huge amounts of money to be in movies.
Well, hold on. We still hear about these crazy salaries, so it seems like there's still some money, but you're just overall less.
It's what's happening is there are very few people that can command the top tier paycheck.
Oh, okay.
And for a while there was there was a dozen. Mm-hmm. There was probably more. And now you really have to prove to the studios that you are the bomb right there.
Yeah.
And they'll pay you.
Yeah.
But other than that, they quit sending their airplanes for people pretty quickly.
Well, it's funny that you bring that because for years, Vince Vaughn was dollar per dollar the best investment in Hollywood. And, he came out of the closet as much more conservative. He's been very open about it. And after that, he could not get a good review for any film. Now, I know he's done some bad films, but there's some films that he's done that were pretty good that were getting 0, on Rotten Tomatoes or 15%. And
I know.
Yeah.
It's sad. I know Vince because I worked with him on The Dilemma.
That's right, yeah.
And he told me some stuff. I mean, really good advice and ideas about surviving in the business. I have a feeling he knew what was coming as far as getting picked on by, the liberal media.
Yeah.
And listen, first of all, I thought Vince was great. I thought Vince was really creative, and we had a great time working together. I don't know, some of that you bring on yourself as far as the bad press, or at least negative vibes from the press.
Right.
And, thank goodness. Hey, Vince made his dough. There are people that will complain about, oh, my career's in a downturn. Yeah, but you've made $80 million.
Yeah, exactly. He's off in his own. He has this compound, I think, in Montana or something. And Owen Benjamin, who was just in the show, produced with him a TV series and said the same thing. He just is not interested in the, I guess, sort of the pageantry of it anymore.
Yeah, listen, if you don't really have to play the game, you have a choice. I mean, this still is America, isn't it? I mean, we have a constitutional right to pursue happiness.
Hey,
and
speaking of which, I was going to ask you. It's just recent news. Obviously, your brother directing the Han Solo spinoff. Can we expect Clint Howard in the Star Wars universe in any capacity?
The only thing you could expect is a huge lawsuit if I said anything.
Come on, this is also news. We're trying to get a scoop here, Clint. You show up with all your chest hair to distract us.
You can scoop till you empty my cat box. But
how many cats do you have? I'd imagine
I'll tell you what, the 12, probably 12 pages is what I've heard. I'll do a President Trump. Somebody told me that I said the most ridiculous thing. Yeah. So he's giving himself not just deniability, but he's admitting he's talking third hand about himself. But I've heard that people have told me if I was to get a job, it would probably come with about a 12-page writer in terms of security and their right at approval of anything outside of indigestion error.
Well, I hope to see you in there, obviously, because you've been in so many iconic roles. It would be awesome to see you be in one of the most iconic film franchises. My dad said...
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something. I auditioned for the original Star Wars.
As who?
Well, I probably Luke Skywalker. I remember seeing Mark Hamill. Well,
how do you not remember who you read for?
Well, it was... You got to remember, in those days, the initial auditions they were seeing everybody, and it didn't really matter what you read. It wasn't like today's world, when you go in for an audition, they have you read every line of dialogue in the sitcom that you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you prepare that in 2 days? But so they gave me something to do, a little something to do. I couldn't tell what it was. There was Francis Coppola in the room. There was a fellow named Gino Havens in the room, and I was about 18 years old. I was scared as all get out. And I saw Mark was nervously pacing, learning, looking at the lines. Mm-hmm. And George was in his director's chair, not a director's chair, he was in a big leather chair behind, and he was spun around, and he turned around to face me, and he went, "Commander Baylock, Corbinite maneuver." And the last thing I wanted to hear was some childhood reference. No offense to George, but in my mind, I'm just going, ah! And then I'm saying,
I hate George Lucas.
George, get a life, please. I got Francis Coppola sitting over here getting ready to watch me present myself. And George is asking me about Commander Baylock Corbinite maneuver from Star Trek.
Well, then, I won't ask you my next...
I've come to find out that Star Trek geeks have a tremendous earning capability, and they've earned well.
Well,
because I've gone to a couple of Star Trek conventions, and boy, just bang up business.
I don't know if you'll be mad for me to ask this next question. My dad wanted me to ask you because we've done sketches with Hopper, my doggo here, and the rules don't work with children and animals. So obviously working with a bear, Do you have any stories? Did anything happen with the bear, or maybe someone got mauled or something went wrong? Because with Hopper, he'll just run over somebody, but a bear, you're dead.
Well, bear, you're not dead. They've got guys standing by, and also, first of all, that kind of bear would not eat meat. They proved it to me right away. They threw in a piece of raw meat, and the bear sniffed it and didn't go for it. And then they threw in a box of donuts, and the bear ate it in about 5 seconds.
What about social justice warrior hipsters? They're like 99% vegetarian.
Yeah.
Monkey chop and prodigious eaters. The bear could just eat circles around any of these new, this new generation. This bear would eat like 24 loaves of bread a day.
Wow.
Bags of monkey chow, a dozen heads of lettuce, a bunch of bushels of, not bushels, but things of carrots.
Yeah.
They tried to have the bear
hipsters.
have a well-balanced diet, although the bear liked to drink Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola. They did a trick where the bear would hold up the Coke. So the bear ate a lot, and the bear was big. I got sat on once, and one time I was...
Well, how old were you? You weren't a large...
You laugh. Have you ever been sat on by a bear?
No.
It friggin' is scary.
Okay.
So,
All right. I apologize. I can imagine.
It was hot, and the bear was tired, and I was jerking on his chain just one too many times.
Tapped. How fast did you tap?
And the bear just turned around and he mauled me. Not mauled me. He like got me with his mouth, but he didn't have any front teeth. So it was just a matter of pressure.
It was a mighty humble bumble.
And it stung me, and it scared me.
Yeah.
And the animal trainers were in there to pull the bear away. The bear wasn't going to eat me.
No.
The bear was just mad.
Yeah.
And that was scary. One time, the worst thing that happened was the raccoon. We had a baby raccoon named Charlie. It was a pet in the series. And I was supposed to come to me, and I was supposed to pick Charlie up in a shot. And we did it a few times. In fact, we did it one too many times. Charlie got used to the behavior, and instead of allowing me to pick him up, Charlie just beat me to it, and he just climbed me. And I had a little terry cloth shirt on, just a little cotton shirt, and it was the most painful thing I've ever felt in my life, because this raccoon, they have to have their claws because they eat with their claws. It was like a cat with their claws extended climbing me. And, the day shooting was over, and I went to the hospital. And the next day, the wardrobe woman, Peggy Kunkel, she had a leather vest made for me that I could wear underneath my shirt. And I thought, well, that's great, Peggy. Where were you yesterday?
Yeah. And then you could wear that leather vest to street parties in San Francisco.
Can we expect any upcoming stories of maybe being mauled by Wookiees or sat on by Ewoks?
Yes. Could that be in the future? Ewoks or Wookiees?
Well, you know what? Listen, I'll neither confirm nor deny I'm even alive at this point. So
Damn it!
I'm not even sure.
Damn it, Clint Howard.
I'm not sure where I'm going to be working on next, but you know what? Things are looking really good. I'm working. I've been doing some writing. I've got this project that I feel like has a lot of validity, and my brother's been busy.
Uh-oh, we lost.
Well, hold on.
Hold on,
rats. Somebody that I don't even know is calling in.
Just
hang on.
Tell them no.
Hang on. Sorry.
Just tell them no. There you go. This is okay. This is the Wonder New Media. This is the show. Hey, let me ask you this. Have you been following, do you follow awards at all anymore? The Emmys? Did you see the announced list?
Oh, my God. It would take you about an hour to go through the list.
Oh, gosh. Well,
They've got nominees for best fluffer and stuff. It's amazing.
Well, we were talking about this. I think this year, Emmy's the worst rated year ever for them last year. And they've really overreached when we talk about far left. They nominated Bill Nye for his Sex Spectrum episode, which was so bad. It was so bad, we just ran the video on the show and laughed. They were rapping about butt junk and 57 genders. And it's like...
Wait. And Bill Nye, seriously? He's nominated. He'll win. Would Al Gore up for anything? I'm sorry, I didn't comb over the list really carefully.
Right.
Is Al?
I don't think so. His sequel isn't out yet, so I don't think it is. Inconvenient Truth 2. I mean, where he
they're going for the Academy Award.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's Grammy material there.
Now
Oscars.
Ron, he's nominated for an Emmy. Ron and I certainly sit on different sides of the dinner table, but he's nominated for an Emmy. My brother won a Grammy.
Well,
I'm sorry.
So did Clint Eastwood.
Me off.
Well, why does it piss you off? You should be happy for your brother, Clint.
No, because See, I had a band when I was in my early 20s, and you know, I actually have an inkling of an artistic, creative kind of skill in the musical realm.
Yeah.
Ron is a basket case when it comes to music. He just is. He can play the guitar, and at times he's been inspired. But one of his weaknesses as a filmmaker is he doesn't really connect music to the image.
Right.
And yet he did the Beatles documentary. And listen, he directed it. He had a lot of people helping him. And the fact that he won an Emmy for that, not an Emmy, a Grammy.
A Grammy.
The fact that he's got his Grammy sitting there, and it's like, that could be Stevie Wonder, or David Bowie, or Clint Howard.
Yes.
But it's not, it's Ron Howard. And you know what? Maybe it's bad karma. I shouldn't have urinated on him when I was a little boy, because maybe I'm still paying the price.
I think the only way to counterbalance is to urinate on his Grammy. Get it remonogrammed. Steal it, and then next time I want to see that on your shelf. You
know what? I'd have to somehow distract him, get him away from it for a few minutes.
Well,
good plan, though. Thanks.
Well, we'll just do. Here's what we'll do. We'll issue a press release claiming that you revealed confidential Star Wars information. He'll come out to beat us up. While he's gone, you steal his Grammy.
Have you ever heard about anybody urinating down somebody's windpipe? Because that's what would happen to you if that press release came out.
Well, no one could say they didn't see it coming.
I hope it's warm there and you can enjoy a nice, cool drink.
All right. Well, we didn't even get to talk too much about the Emmys, but it's always a pleasure to have Clint Howard on. Clint, we'll get the Skype stuff working next time so we can do a little more. But go enjoy your sauna. Take off the robe and have fun.
Hey, not until I get to the sauna.
Well,
otherwise, I get arrested.
Let your freak flag fly. You're a celebrity.
Hey, anytime, man. Anytime.
Thanks, Clint. Have a good one. We'll be back.
Okay.
So why can't we get to the busy where the dreams are in the sky?
What? You know I'm trying to watch Louder with Crowder. I bought this mug to watch daily. You know I'm gonna get my money's worth.
When are you gonna feed the baby?
I do it after Nake Jared finishes his story on Aruba.
It's your turn to feed the baby. He's hungry.
Well, why don't you put them titties to good use then? Lord knows I'm using them.
Why you gotta be so mean, Cole?
It's what you were made to do, Josephine. That's your domain. I wish I could help you, but I can't. When it comes to providing and fixing shit, I'll step up. You know I always do.
Does that mean you'll finally fix the pontoon?
F you! Glad to be with you. Apparently Edward the sound guy is checked out. But great, thank you very much to Clint Howard. The air, again, stopped working in here. The air conditioning was working. We told you about this. We had problems with it in our studio. And then it worked, and then it stopped. So we brought in the air, and it worked while the air guy was here. Then he left, stopped working.
They may not know. It's summer.
It's summer.
Yeah.
It is very, very hot. And that really grinds my gears when someone comes over. Well, unless you can replicate the mistake right now. Like when you go to the Apple store, my phone sometimes just freezes for well, it's not frozen now. Oh, great. Maybe you can solve the problem while I'm walking out with my new phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you like to speak to our genius? Now, how about customer service?
Yeah, there you go.
Took a weekend course on the iPad. You're not a member of Mensa. Thanks so much to the guests. The theme this week, for those who aren't Mug Club members, we've been talking about, I don't know how many times we've used the phrase, it's time. From Chris Hemsworth, John Boyega, I think Caitlyn Jenner in The View, there were at least 3 or 4 stories of people saying, it's time for X. It's time for female president. It's time for black people on Game of Thrones. It's time for Game of Thrones to create a slave show.
Black people in Dunkirk. Yes, the new
Black
one.
people in Dunkirk. It's time for female James Bond. This is the mantra right now. It's time. And what's crazy is, Not Gager and I were talking about this. It seems really nonsensical, but when you break it down, you can understand why the "it's time" is such a commonly used phrase. When we were growing up, it's time to learn these lessons. I remember my dad would say, "Well, it's time to grow up, son," or it's time to learn from your mistakes, or it's time. It started with, it's time to wipe your own posterior.
Yeah, it's time to wipe your own butt, and then it's like, hey, time to dress yourself.
Time to dress yourself.
Yeah.
It's time to get a job. It's time to pay for your own school. So there was a point where it's time, when someone would say, there was usually a moment. And what it usually involved was, it's time to insert moral action here, or action, period, here, definitive action here, proactive action here, or it's time for personal, spiritual, emotional, physical development. That's what it was.
Assuming a new responsibility.
Right. It's time for assuming personal responsibility. It's time to develop. It's time to evolve. And that's how we were all raised. That's basically what schooling was. Why?
Yeah.
It's 3rd grade. It's time to learn long division. Maybe that was 4th grade. It's 8th grade. It's time to learn trigonometry. That is what it's time meant. And the left now will never do that. Right? They avoid that like the plague. Right? Is it, oh, okay. So do you mean it's time, while we're talking about the black community being underrepresented, is it time for the black community to get a movement involved where dads stay in the household? Well, no. It's not time for that. Is it time for kids to pay for their own school? No, it's not. Is it time for women, now that they're independent, to purchase their own birth control? No. Is it time for people to be responsible parents? Is it time for parents to make moral judgments in knowing how to raise their children? Is it time for us to make black and white moral decisions regarding our political, economic future? No. Oh, what do you mean? It's time for a female James Bond. Oh, you just say it's time because it's something that we haven't seen before. And what does that do? That assumes that there's something inherently morally virtuous if it's something that you haven't experienced, right?
Yeah.
We're always to broaden your horizons. And that's true. There's a lot of good in there.
Sure.
But not always.
No, not always.
No.
No.
I haven't eaten the poisonous portion of a puffer fish.
Yeah.
It's time.
During vacation, I was traveling to Aruba, and one of the options was to have a layover in Mexico City. I've never done that before. It was not time.
It was not time for it.
That was at a horizon I wanted to be expanded.
Well, and it's because right now we live in an era where we've been told for so long, and it's swinging back the other way I'm excited about, that there is no right, there is no wrong. It's situational ethics, right? So you can't say, it's time to father up. It's time to marry the girl because you knocked her up. It's time to provide for your family because you're the man and head of household. We can't do that. So it's time for, I don't know, what have we not seen before? And they want to draw the equivalency that the first is equivalent to some actual accomplishment. The first black president is equivalent to the first great president. The first female president is the equivalent to the first president who, I don't know, actually follows through on their promises. The first female James Bond is the equivalent to the most popular James Bond, the most widely viewed as success critically James Bond. I think
99%.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes James Bond.
It's time for black people on Game of Thrones is the equivalent to, man, the writing's really good on Game of Thrones. It's time because it's the first is their moral equivalency to, it's time to get better. And that's where you're seeing this. Now, it's the same, you've got to see it's the same enclave of people culturally who don't want red pens on tests. They don't want someone to win a soccer game. Owen was singing about that earlier. This is that generation. So this generation where they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in resting on the laurels of their accomplishments. It's got to be something else. So I know, and it doesn't have to be an accomplishment, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's actually of any benefit to society, but by God, it'll be the first, because it's time. You know what? It's time to actually go back to judging people based on their merits. How about that? It's time to go back to a meritocracy. It's time to handle your own crap and take some personal responsibility. It's time to stop saying it's time, and I hate you. I'll see you next week.